Okay, today being the 1st of September, we normally talk about health, but what I'm going to talk about today is mental health. So I've just come off the back of a few weeks of pretty serious staph infection, and it knocked me around a fair bit to the point where I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. I was absolutely drained and struggled even to stay awake. So it was probably one of the hardest times I've ever been through, though I've been through a year and a half of TSW, and that's had a whole plethora of issues along the way, from deep itch, thin skin, blood oozing out of my skin, just due to it being so thin, and flaring up, which is quite painful. It's extreme nerve pain. So mentally, it's put me through a lot over the last year and a half. And I just want to talk about some of the tools that I've used, not during the process, but the tools leading up to getting TSW and how it's made me think differently and made it a lot easier for me to get through this period. So, firstly, I have a vision. I have a vision for my life, how I want life to be, where I want to go in life, and it's like my Northern Star. And by understanding what your vision is and what you're heading for and why you're heading there, and I'll talk more about what sort of builds that vision. It's not so much having the cars and the house and those sort of things. It's about the life you want to live and how you want to live and about how fulfilled you want to be. And ultimately, a fulfilling life is about living life on your terms, which means being able to live your values. Your values is like the frictionless way of living, and that's where you feel your best, mentally, physically. If you can live your values, you're aligned, you're authentic. Okay, so by having a vision, when you go through hard times, you've got this thing on the other side of it that sort of helps pull you through. Um, so that's the vision. And then it's understanding your values. Now, if you don't understand your values, and values are things that you talk about a lot, values are the things you research a lot, values are the things that you accumulate skills around. Values are things that you tend to accumulate sort of in your environment, things you collect. Your values are where you spend your time, and your values are things you tend to contemplate a lot. So those are the things that come to you naturally. Now, if you're not good with money, you'll tend to find that money doesn't show up in your values because it's something you don't tend to spend a lot of time on. But if money is high on your value list, you tend to find it easy to do things around money. A lot of people have family in their values list. But where people really get out of alignment is when the family pushes their values on someone. They say family should be number one, and that's their belief and that's their values. But if it's not your values, then you feel out of alignment by putting family ahead of your values. Okay. And it might be that your family's not great to you. It's not somewhere that you want to spend your time. And it gives this unalignment, and it makes you feel bad about things. And you feel bad and you don't understand why. So values, understanding your values is really important. And I'd encourage anyone to go and maybe do a bit of a test to see what your values are. Now, a really good test is if you go to Dr. John Demartini's site, he has this button on his site that free values test. So you can just go through this questionnaire, and at the end, it'll spit out like a bit of a pie chart of what your higher values are. It'll give you a little bit of a description of what they are and in what order. And once you understand your values, you can start trying to live more to your values, and it makes your life a lot more fulfilled. So understanding your values is pretty important. It really helps with mental health because a lot of people that are out of alignment with their values, that's where the mental health issues come from a lot of the time. So the things that I did to help me through. Now, the big thing for me is You spend more time with you than you do with anyone else. Now, if you treated your best friend the way you treat yourself, how long do you think they would be your best friend? Do you talk good to yourself? Do you do the things that you promise to yourself? Do you do what you say you're going to do? If you said to your mate, let's go to the gym, I'll meet you there at 5 o'clock, you don't show up. And then a few weeks later, you say, oh, come on, let's go train. I'll meet you there at 5 o'clock and you don't show up. How many times do you think they're going to sort of keep doing that before they get a little bit annoyed? Now, we do that stuff to ourselves all the time. We say we're going to go to the gym and then we like get caught up. We do other things. We can't be bothered. And your mind understands that you've made a promise to yourself and then you haven't kept that promise. So it's no different from a friend. It's just you letting yourself off the hook, but in reality, you're not. Your brain knows that you're making these promises and you aren't keeping them to yourself. So what it starts to do, it starts to slowly eat away at your self-esteem, starts to slowly eat away at your confidence, and you start to lose trust in yourself. Now, once you get to the point where you're doing that sort of thing all the time, you really start to lose trust in yourself. And that's where the negative self-talk comes in. And once you start getting negative self-talk come in, now you're in this bit of a battle with yourself. So the only way to get out of that is one, to become aware of your self-talk and try and change that. Now, that's only surface level stuff. That's like symptom type stuff. It's not the root cause. The root cause is you're not treating yourself well. Okay. So, firstly, understanding your values, what drives you, what is easy, what's frictionless for you. That's your values. And you got to live by your values. Stand up for your values. And then what you want to do is build discipline. Now, to build discipline, people think it's really hard, but it's actually not. If most people think discipline is, I'm going to go for a 20K run, and then you've got to fight yourself to get there. And they think that that's discipline, but that's not how you do discipline. How you do discipline is you build the mindset to do the things that you want to do. So let me give you an example. If I want to stop drinking Coke and I want to start drinking water. Now, if you're the sort of person that sort of drinks a lot of Coke and crappy stuff and alcohol, actually, alcohol is even a better example. If you want to drink less alcohol, so let's say you're drinking 5 to 7 nights a week, just having a couple of beers every night, and you want to stop doing that and you want to drink more water. So you think you need to get this discipline to stop doing that and start drinking the water. And what you do is you build it. You build it from the bottom up. So what you can do is some exercises that you use to help your brain change the neural pathways so that you think about it differently. Because some people, they wouldn't even touch alcohol. They only want water because they know it's good for them. And it's easy for them. People think, oh, they're so disciplined. How do they do it? But they want to drink the water. They don't want to drink the alcohol. They hate alcohol and they love water. And people see that as, oh, they're so disciplined, but they've built it. Okay. So here's a great exercise you can use. If you want to get off the alcohol, what you can do is start a list of things that issues that alcohol is causing you. You know, it's causing me to be hard to get out of bed in the morning. I feel really bad about myself because I said I wasn't going to drink and then I drink. Um, it causes me to argue when I have like 4 or more drinks. I end up getting in arguments with my partner or the kids. I get a little bit flippant, say things that I regret. You know, it makes me lazy. I don't get onto my goals and the things that I want to do in life. So you just start doing this list, and what you want to do is aim for about 100. Okay, it causes, you know, I'm poisoning my body. It raises my chance of getting cancer, raises the chance of getting diabetes, you know, makes me lazy, don't want to eat properly. You know, you can just go on and on and on. You might get to like 10, get to 20, get to 30, and you start to struggle with it. Okay. And that point, you can come back to your list. You can Google answers. You can go on AI and search all the downfalls of drinking alcohol. And then you can start increasing your knowledge on the downfalls of alcohol, because the more your brain knows about the downfalls, the more you're building these neural pathways that makes you less likely one to do it. Okay. So once you've absolutely exhausted all the things that it causes issues on, and once you get past sort of 30, you start to get really, really deep into the things the issues that's causing you, mentally, and all these new things come out, these epiphanies, these aha moments of what alcohol is causing you. And once you see them or think them, you can't unthink them. So that's a really important part of it, probably the most important part of it. And then what you can do is start a list of 25 things that you'll benefit by stopping drinking alcohol. More time with the family, be more present, don't regret what I'm saying, feel refreshed when I get up early in the morning, feel more motivated to do the projects I'm going to do, or look after the house better. I spend more time with my partner and enjoy my time with them more, and all those sort of things. Like, it's just so much, and you can have all the benefits for your health and that sort of thing that it gives you. And you got this list of 25 things that benefit your life. And you can even look at the flow-on effects, what it causes later on in life, in your 100 list of things that it causes you issues, and the 25 that it benefits you. And then the powerful part is then you pull your values list out, and let's start linking back to your values. So let's just say family is one of your highest values, spending time with family. And you go, okay, how does drinking alcohol give me less of my value? So how does drinking alcohol give me less of spending time with my family? How does drinking alcohol cause me effects and not be able to live my value of spending time with family? And then you can sort of say, on the other side, how does not drinking alcohol give me more of my value? And this really starts to strengthen those neural pathways that you've built by doing your list. And it aligns with your values, gives you more fulfillment. And now you've tied not drinking alcohol to getting more of your values, and you've tied drinking alcohol to getting less of your values. And that is extremely important, because your values are very strong, they're very deeply rooted. And by tying it to your values is really important. So let's say one of your values, you got family, one of your values is learning or growth, something like that. Let's say learning. And then you tie it back to your learning value. How does drinking alcohol give me less of learning? How does drinking alcohol give me less of my value of learning? And how does not drinking alcohol give me more of my values of learning? And when you tie it back to your values like that, it starts to really strengthen your those neural pathways and make you want to drink less alcohol, because now it's tied to your values. Drinking alcohol means less of your values, and not drinking alcohol gives you more of your values. So it's a really important part. And once you get that sort of tie back to your values, then you don't want to drink the alcohol. Okay. And what a lot of people think is discipline now for you is much easier. It's not discipline that's stopping you from drinking alcohol, it's your values that's stopping you from drinking the alcohol. So that's where a lot of people think they're so disciplined, but they just find it easy because it's the way they think about it and it's tied to their values. So we've got the 100 list of how drinking alcohol will hurt you now, in your future, in your relationships, and now in your values. And then we've got 25 reasons why not drinking alcohol will benefit you in your life, your physical, your mental, in your motivation, and now tying back to your values. Okay, and now is the time that you can go back and start looking at that self-talk, because self-talk is just a symptom of the deeper rooted issue. So tackling self-talk when you don't feel good about yourself isn't going to work, because it's a symptom, it's a surface level issue. And when you have dealt with what the root cause of drinking the alcohol is and tying it back to your values, now it's time to tackle the self-talk, because you've probably built a bit of a habit of poor self-talk. So then it's about becoming aware of what you say to yourself, what you think about yourself, and obviously, um, going back to the discipline, it's about actually following through. If you make a promise to yourself to go to the gym, you go to the gym, because you understand now that if you make a promise to yourself, you want to build a good relationship with yourself, you do what you say you're going to do. And when we tie it back to, your best friend, if you say to your best friend, let's meet at the gym at 5 o'clock, and you don't show up, and you do that several times in a row, they're going to lose faith in you. They're going to lose trust in you. And they probably will say a few bad things about you. It's no different to yourself. So to build that discipline, sometimes it's just about getting there because you said you were going to get there. And again, you can do this same list for going to the gym. If that's what you really want to do, you can write a list of 25 benefits for your life for getting to the gym, and you can write 100 ways how it's going to hurt you in your life by not going to the gym, and you start building that discipline. And then you can go back and tie it to your values. If your values is family first and learning second, you can go down the same road. How does going to the gym give me more family time? And start tying it back to your values. So going to the gym gives me more family time because I feel better, I feel more rejuvenated, I sleep better, I can be more present, I feel better about myself, and it makes me present better to the family. And with learning, going to the gym makes me more disciplined, makes me feel better about myself, you know, makes me want to spend the quiet time to learn, those sort of things, and just tie it back to your values. So anything you want to stop doing, you can tie back to your values. So doing the negative thing, how will it give me less of my values? And when you want to do the positive thing, how will that give me more of my values? And that's how you build discipline and make it really easy to do the things that you want to do. Now, it doesn't happen overnight. You got to go through the process of 100 hertz, 25 benefits, and then tie it back to your values. And then you've built these strong neural pathways that make you really want to do the things that you want to do. And when we go back to the self-talk, now that you're in a space where you're starting to do the things disciplined, you're starting to get to the gym like you said you were going to do to yourself, the promises you made. Now it's about being aware of how you talk to yourself. You need to then, you're doing some good things. You're starting to build self-esteem. You're starting to build confidence because you're doing the things you said you were going to do. Now you want to replace that poor language with good language, with empowering language, and start to treat yourself like your best friend. And once you start treating yourself like your best friend, you want to talk to yourself better, and you want to talk to, that negative self-talk tends to go away more because you're starting to feel good about yourself. You're doing the things you said you were going to do, and you start to feel like you've got your own back. When other people let you down, you're always there. Now, you spend the most time with yourself than anyone else. You've been through the hardest times with yourself than anyone on the planet. So it makes sense to try and get yourself into the position where you are your best friend, because you're there for yourself no matter what. And you can't say that about everyone else. Because while you're around, you're there, you see everything that you've been through. And once you start building that discipline, the self-esteem and the confidence, and you tie things to your values, I mean, the ultimate goal in life is to live life on your terms, which often means living life to your values. And once you're living life to your values all the time, you're in alignment. Life becomes a lot easier. You become a lot more fulfilled. It becomes a lot more enjoyable, and life feels a lot easier. It's when someone else is pushing their values on you, you should put family first. But family might not be your highest value. It might be low on your value list because you didn't have an enjoyable upbringing, or people were nasty to you in your family. Family might not be your highest value. It might be growth, it might be learning, it might be helping others, but it might not be family. And if someone else is pushing their values on you, you're out of alignment. So you don't feel as good about life. And what happens when you're young and they push their values on you, you feel like I should value family more, and you feel bad about yourself because you're not valuing family so much. But your values are your values. You can change your values over time, because you grow, you learn, and doing exercises like this. If you want something higher on your value list, if money isn't a value to you, but you want to put it high on your values list to make money growth, and wealth creating easier, you can go through this exercise, and I would start by tying money back to your values. So again, if family is your highest value, how can I spend more time with my family if I have money? How can I be more present with my family if I'm a wealth creator? That sort of thing. And how will having no money make it harder for me to spend time with the family? How will having no money make it harder for me to be present with my family? And you can start tying things to your values. And again, it brings you back into alignment. So, um, and the other thing is just starting to, once you've got that discipline built and you're doing the things you said you're going to do to yourself, keeping your promises to yourself, then and tying back to your values, then getting your self-talk right, and then it's about treating yourself good, treating yourself right, treating yourself like your best friend all the time. And through this last period, year and a half of TSW, it's been an extremely testing time for me. But not once have I ever felt like giving up. Never once have I felt like being down on myself, or having a go at myself. I did have a couple of weeks at the start where I was feeling a bit sorry for myself, but I pretty quickly snapped out of that because I understood, what I was in for. And I'd already done the mental work leading up, over the last few years. And I had a strong, mental discipline from the work that I've done over time. And what it did is it really helped me through there. And I've been really nurturing to myself. I've worked hard through this period. I've pushed myself where I needed a bit of a kick in the ass. And my self-talk has been next level. I do these things before I go to bed where I sort of ask myself a question. So overnight I can stew on it, and I visualize my skin getting thicker, um, and I sort of praise myself a little bit. And I do the same thing when I wake up in the morning. I just do a little bit of a gratitude thing, that I'm so grateful that I've built this mental discipline. I'm grateful that I've been here for myself and looking after myself, and those sort of things. And I do the same for, the people around me that are helping me. But ultimately, it's the discipline that I've built, and it, like I said before, it becomes really easy. It's just your default. It's because it's aligned with your values. You understand by, if I wanted to start talking negatively about myself, I really understand, because I went through this process of how destructive that is and how much more pain it would bring on me. But what you're better off doing is going through this process and really being there for yourself, being there for yourself through the hard times. And what you find, you don't need that external help as much. You can handle a lot of things on your own once you've built that discipline, once you've got that really good relationship with yourself, because you feel like you're there for yourself. It's like that self-talk, it's like it's a second person. When you're going through these things, you've still got that second person there talking to you, um, you know, thinking, that sort of voice on your shoulder. And you just want to make sure that voice on your shoulder is 100% there backing you, and it helps you through that process. And during this last few weeks, I had a really serious staph infection. It was probably the most painful, most stressful time of my life. I literally thought I was going to have an operation, or I was going to die. Like that's the seriousness of it, and it knocked me out for absolutely days where I couldn't even, I couldn't even wake up for just about the whole day. I was waking up for half hour twice a day for a few days there, and it got pretty serious. So, and again, it was a really tough time to go through, but the difference between that and the skin issues, I didn't know if I was going to come out the other end. It was a bit scary. But again, I didn't fall in the hole. I was mentally saying good things to myself, nurturing myself. We can get through this together. I've got your back. That sort of thing is so powerful when you're in those situations, and it helps you pull through. It really does, not only mentally, but I think physically as well. It really helps you pull through those things. So yeah, so that's the exercise for today. I'll put some notes when I put the video up. I'll put a bit of a cheat sheet that you guys can use to go through that process, and you can use that for anything, absolutely anything in your life, where you feel out of alignment, or if it's something that you want to stop doing that you've been doing that you feels a bit destructive and corrodes your confidence and your self-esteem. But also, if you want to start doing things that you find hard to get the motivation to do or the inspiration to do, you can use that exact same exercise. It's just about flipping it and putting the benefits to what you want to do and weighing in how it's going to hurt you when you do the things that you don't want to do. It really starts to change the way you think about life, and it just takes the friction away from the things you want to do, and it adds all this friction to the things that you would just normally find easy to do, like say drinking a few drinks every night of the week. So if you want to stop doing those things, that's where the values are really important. And I think when you go through the toughest times of your life, it's good to have that good vision that I talked about at the start, where you've got this Northern Star, something you're really heading for. And I just encourage people that it's good to have a vision about what you want your life to look like as far as house, cars, and all that sort of stuff, things. But how do you want to live your life? What do you want your life to look like? But ultimately, my dream is to live a life on my terms, not have to answer to anyone, do what I want when I want, but ultimately live my values. And once you understand your values, if you go to the Dr. John Demartini site, and you do his values test, and you do that once a year, you can see how your values creep over time by the influences in your life about what you enjoy doing. When you start picking up new hobbies or things like that, they do creep a little bit, but ultimately you find your main values are just tend to be really strong. And if you do that every year, you start to learn more about yourself. And once you really understand your values and what drives you, you can really start to shape your life and make those things that look disciplined to everyone else. You can just make them really easy. It's like ultra marathon runners. People just think they're so disciplined, but they're just driven. That's their values driving them, and they want to do those things. It'd be hard to stop them. Their life would probably go to pieces if they couldn't do those things. So what looks like discipline is actually just building out your life the way you want it, in alignment with your values. So that's it for today. I'll stop the recording there. Who have we got on?